The prosecutors are desperate to get a jury because they know the process is the punishment, and they want the jury to be there to ratify and bless their corruption. And as I say, sanctify it. And it ain't going to work. Outrageous, without precedent, political, banana republic style, abusive, election interfering criminal trial of President Trump. He committed no crimes worthy of investigation, let alone prosecution. The jury is now fully picked, meaning there are 12 jurors and 6 alternates. They were picked from the jury pool in New York, which tends to be overwhelmingly, at least voter-wise, anti-Trump and anti-Republican and anti-conservative. And the trial began with the prosecutors coming in saying Trump violated gag orders, or a gag order that was, in my view, unconstitutional and unduly restrictive. And they said to the judge, not only should he be fined, but if he does it again, he should be jailed. So that's the first thing they're talking about, jailing Trump. And, I had a quick video highlighting Judicial Watch's concerns about these issues. Well, this is a day that's going to go down in infamy with the beginning of those kangaroo court proceedings up in New York against President Trump. Really outrageous. He committed no crimes. In fact, he's being prosecuted for non-crimes. This is a prosecution about nothing, and he's not going to get a fair trial. It's pretty clear in a courtroom controlled by Democratic Party operatives, not only in the prosecutor's office, but frankly behind the bench. And Judicial Watch denounces in the strongest possible terms this brazen attempt to interfere in our elections and to make Trump a political prisoner. Nothing like it's happened in American history, and all Americans in good faith should reject this effort to try to rig our elections. And you can be sure Judicial Watch will continue to confront and expose this terrible assault on our constitutional republic. And it's worth highlighting just how absurd the legal case here is, which is that Trump, many years ago, well past the statute of limitations in under ordinary circumstances, made false business records that no one else saw. They were characterized falsely, so it is alleged, as legal payments related to his lawyer paying money for a confidentiality agreement with Stormy Daniels. And then, because they passed the statute of limitations, or they had already run, they hooked it into felony charges related to federal campaign finance law, absurdity on top of absurdity. And even then, arguably, the statute of limitations still had run. So even though a trial is commencing and a jury has been seated, it has all the appearance of justice, but effectively there is no justice there. And as I kind of highlighted here, I want to go through some of the other points we made. Trump committed no crimes, and as I said in the clip, it's a prosecution about nothing. It's the famous Seinfeld line from his program many years ago. I guess it's too many years ago. It seems like it was just yesterday for those of us of a certain age. These and other Democratic Party political prosecutions of Trump are an abomination unto law and are destabilizing our nation. I mean, you kind of see the echoes of that with that terrible tragedy in New York where this seemingly mentally ill person set himself on fire outside the courthouse. But it destabilizes the nation because it tells half the country we're going to rig the election by putting your candidate in jail. It tells Americans' friends and enemies abroad that this country has abandoned the principles of the rule of law. I mean, Putin must be thinking, who do they think they are to lecture me? Biden's trying to put his political enemies in jail too. And Merchant is the Democratic Party operative / judge. Alvin Bragg, Democratic Party politician / judge. They're all politicians up there, even on the court. It's literally true. Merchant himself was a supporter of Joe Biden's campaign. Wrote a check. And then there's this issue, just the kind of the sort of the petty viciousness of this process. And he came out and made a statement, and I did, one of my Instagram watch videos of his statement. Here it is.
As you know, my son is graduating from high school, and it looks like the judge will not let me go through the graduation of my son, who's worked very, very hard. He's a great student. Very proud of the fact that he did so well. And I was looking forward for years to have graduation with his mother and father there. And it looks like the judge isn't going to allow me to escape this scam. It's a scam trial. If you read all of the legal pundits, all of the legal scholars today, there's not one that I see that said this is a case that should be brought or tried. It's a scam. It's a political witch hunt. It continues, and it continues forever. And we're not going to be given a fair trial. It's a very, very sad.
It's outrageous. It's just truly outrageous. And as far as I'm concerned, Trump is a political hostage right now. Biden, you've seen, has been campaigning. Whether he's been effectively campaigning or not is another matter, but he's been free to campaign for the last week. He was traveling all up and down or across Pennsylvania. And in the meantime, Trump is being held as a political hostage in a courtroom run by his political allies, Biden's political allies. Trump is being held hostage and unable to campaign. I mean, he did manage to go up to this bodega the other day and get some news attention that way. But it's only because he happened to be in New York City and he took advantage of the fact he was there. But he's not able to campaign in the swing states and things like that the way that Biden now literally is doing in Pennsylvania. And this is going to go on for 6, 8 weeks, maybe even longer. Trump is going to be held hostage there. And you can be sure they will try to jail him even prior to any conviction, based on his alleged violations of these gag orders. So they're going to use the court process as a vehicle to put him in jail, or at least that's what I predict. And I had some tweets explaining some of my concerns here as it relates to the abusive process, especially with the jury selection, which the media has been focused on. Obviously, it's a big deal. You're sitting there, you want to know the jury's going to be fair, but it doesn't really change the nature, the corrupted nature of the process. And this is what I said. Sorry, folks, but the kangaroo court proceedings run by Democratic Party politicians against Trump won't be sanctified by any jury. Dragooning citizens to play jurors in this show trial over non-crimes is yet another abusive process. So I'll go on to this in a second here. So I want to finish this point. The poor jurors, and let's just presume they're there in good faith. None of them volunteered. They were called in. Why are they being abused like this? To me, this is an abuse of Trump and an abuse of the jurors, because no jury should be asked to judge the freedom of President Trump on these charges. And so that's why the prosecutors were kind of bending over backwards, where you saw this hiccup earlier where one of the jurors evidently had lied on his form, and it turned out, and the prosecutors called him out on it because he had been involved in tearing down conservative-oriented posters or something like that, and was arrested for it. I'm not quite sure what the story is because it's vague because of the privacy issues related to the juror selection process. And everyone's saying, well, the prosecutors pointed that out. The prosecutors are desperate to get a jury because they know the process is the punishment, and they want the jury to be there to ratify and bless their corruption. And as I say, sanctify it. And it ain't going to work. Let's go to this next tweet. Outrage, the Democratic Party political show trial. That's what it is. It's a show trial. It's an abomination, as I say. The process begins today. It's a kangaroo court process with Trump, as I say, being gagged from criticizing the ethics recusal scandal caused by the judge and his Democratic consultant daughter. What a failure of our institutions. and this is an important point, what a failure of our institutions that Trump is facing the very real prospect of becoming a political prisoner. Now, Trump is literally on trial, but I'd say, effectively speaking, our system of government's on trial. Our justice system's on trial. Is it going to be broken and mangled and permanently scarred as a result of this abuse of Trump? And remember, this is just the beginning. We have prosecutions from the Biden regime directly through Jack Smith. We have prosecutions through Fani Willis, the corrupt prosecutor down there, who's not only pursuing corruptly a political case like Alvin Bragg, but also a personally corrupt case because of her lies and financial interests in moving the case forward against Trump. All fully funded by the Republican-controlled Congress, time and time again. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and like our video down below.